Big Rab Show Podcast is kindly sponsored by G1 Reeds. They are the champion's choice, with many bands around the world playing G1 products, providing everything you'd need to hit the circle or the big stage. So, check out g1reeds.com as they keep the lights on here at the Big Rab Show Podcast. Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another Big Rab Show podcast. How are yous, folks? Yeah, another week has rolled round in the bagpiping world, and we're back again. Back for even more bagpiping goodness. Sure, where else would you be? It's Wednesday night, it's podcast night. I have to say, last night on Fuse, actually, was a lot of fun. I was back in the driving seat after a couple of weeks off, actually, and yeah, it was quite a lot of fun being back, and the music selection kind of reflected that as well. Some people loved it, some people not so much. But either way, I had fun. So, shout out to everyone who listened to the show last night on Fuse. That was good crack, yeah. Anyway, right, let's get into our introductions, shall we? Well, if this is your first ever Big Rab Show podcast, then you are welcome. We are the show for the bagpiping folk. We reflect everything in the bagpiping world, be it Celtic music, folk music, or indeed our bread and butter, which is competitive piping and drumming. Each and every week we're here talking about what we know and love to be the music of the great Highland bagpipe and its people. And yes, like every other podcast out there, we do have a Patreon. So if you do want to help support the show, then you can. You can head over there, click on support, and get your hands on loads of extras. Now, I have to say, this week's subject, I guess, has already been released to our Patreon faithful for quite a number of months. Yeah. We'll talk more about that, I guess, in this week's topic. It's a very cryptic one, isn't it? Yeah, but yeah, if you do want to be part of the Patreon faithful, there hasn't been a better time, actually. There's tons of extras over there, including some video goodies. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, you get access to our Fuse FM Ballymoney radio show every week, you know, where you can download it and listen every week. And yeah, you get to hear last night's show. It was good fun. Good fun. All right, let's fly on. Well, with each and every Big Rab Show podcast, we do open the door to listener mail, and this week's show is no different. Yeah, our email address has never changed. bigrabshow@gmail.com. That address again, bigrabshow@gmail.com. Right, let's get into, well, the first bit of listener mail here is from Dan. It says, "Hi Big Rab, loved the show this week, and thanks for the link to Ulster Unplugged." Oh, yes. Ulster Unplugged. A lot of people have been asking me about this. Yeah, I've been kind of dipping my toes in television work here, specifically in Northern Ireland. And those of you savvy enough that managed to catch that, yeah, that's kind of cool, wasn't it? Yeah, I was doing a little bit of television presenting, which is like a chat show kind of thing, where I was interviewing people, well, musicians mostly, and then asking them to thump out some big tunes. And yeah, that was my first kind of foray into the television world, to be honest. And I don't know if I'm a fan. It's very different from radio, I have to say, you know, or podcasting for that matter, where it's just you and a mic, I guess, and a script. Well, whenever you're looking at TV, you're talking about a huge team of people, producers and writers and cameras all over the place. Sound guy, lighting guy, and just madness. So that was my first kind of foray into the television world, and honestly, I think I like it. I think, you know, I don't know, I'm kind of critical of myself. I can always watch these things and go, God, I could have done that way better, you know, and I'm watching back at it now and I'm cringing going, God, that's awful, I could do that so much better. But you know what, I do the same thing with the pod each week, same with the radio show on Fuse as well. So I don't know, that's just one of those things. I'm just kind of a perfectionist thinking, oh God, I could have done that way better. But if you are curious at all, you can go and visit NVTV and search for Ulster Unplugged. All right, even if you were to type that into YouTube, I'm sure you'll find it. It's a little series that we managed to film for NVTV, which is like a local television station here in Northern Ireland. And yeah, you can go and view it, and then you can be critical of what you think of my own television presenting styles. Now, the music show itself, Ulster Unplugged, really quite interesting. We had a wealth of different musical flavors, from bluegrass to jazz to rock music even, and then, of course, to traditional piping, I guess. So there's a lot to delve into there, and I think that's what the whole thrust behind the show was. It was to be very mixed and varied with a lot of different musical influences. And I learned a lot. And yeah, I think from watching the show, you get to learn a lot too. So go and check it out. Ulster Unplugged. Thank you, Dan, for your email. He does go on to say, I hope you're getting on okay after the storm. Yes, Dan, thankfully all the damage here at home has been repaired. My internet, thankfully, now has been restored. Even though I do know people locally to me, some of them still aren't reconnected. And that's, 2 weeks now? Which is nuts. Anyway, so we do have people calling to our house saying, can we use your internet? I have an email to send. I said, yeah, come on ahead. Anyway, don't know why we got connected and others didn't. Perhaps they knew this was Big Rab Show Studios. Anyway, let's fly on. So yes, thank you, Dan. All repaired. Thank you. He goes on to say, in the show this week, you mentioned RSPBA looking into selling merch to raise funds. Yes, that was on last week's show when we talked about possible methods of raising revenue. And that was an idea I was just kind of chucking about. Yeah. He goes on to say, it says, I know they've done it in the past. I attended the Worlds in 2007 and remember having bought a golf shirt with the RSPBA logo on it, as well as the sponsor, RBS, which is the Royal Bank of Scotland. He goes on to say, thanks for going the extra mile sitting in your car last week. Yeah, it had been a long time since your last car-borne podcast. Cheers, Dan. Dan, yeah, I think it's been at least a few years since we've had to record a pod in the car. And it was an experience, to say the least. That was a fun one. Yeah, that was a couple of weeks ago. But yes, as for the RSPBA selling merchandise, yes, I don't know who actually sees the dividends from that. Normally at the Worlds, this past couple of years anyway, there's 2 merchandise trucks. And, normally by about lunchtime on the Saturday, those trucks are absolutely sold out. There's not a thing left. Everything gets picked up. Now, you're talking all sorts of World Championship branded stuff that has the World Championship logo on it. So you're talking hats, beanies, scarves, hoodies, T-shirts, you name it, they've got it. And it always sells out. And I honestly think, is all of that money going to Glasgow Life, the people who put on the Worlds, or is it going to the RSPBA? Do they get a portion of that? It's an interesting one. But we did float the idea that if the RSPBA themselves were to start selling merchandise at competitions, especially our majors, I honestly think they would sell like hotcakes, Like Dan just said, imagine picking up like a golf shirt, for example, with an RSPBA logo on it. I know so many people that would snap that up in a heartbeat. Yeah, like a little beanie or a hat or something. I don't know, whatever you can put an RSPBA logo on it. Yeah, stick it in the back of a lorry, take it to a contest and sell it. Yeah, I think, but I don't know. We were just chucking about ideas last week. That's one that certainly seems to have stuck. Not only did Dan email us about that, we got one in from Tracy that said the same thing. Another one that came in there from Paul said, yep, that the merchandise thing is definitely a huge idea. Where a lot, take a lot from the music scene where bands who play gigs have their own T-shirts for sale. Why not? So, yeah, I don't know. I did put a call out to the board of directors. I do know a number of them do listen to the show. And whether they'll take that suggestion on board or not, we don't know. It's like one of those things. Last week's podcast, we did throw spaghetti at the wall to see what would stick. But it seemed to be that one stuck. A lot of people very keen to pick up some RSPBA merch and hope that idea takes on. Yeah. Dan, thank you for your email, mate. And to everybody else who did send in mail on the merchandise stuff, I did mention a few of you there, so thank you. That idea definitely seemed to stick with people. So, hi, there you go. Get your emails in, bigrabshow@gmail.com. All right, I've got another email in here. This one came in from Buddy. He said, hi, Big Rab, this one's short and sweet. Just to let you know that, just to let you know that the San Diego Highland Games, yeah, did I read this right? Yeah, just to let you know that the San Diego Highland Games has been cancelled. No, so yeah, I'm reading this just as we're recording here. I should have read this beforehand. So yeah, he sent me a link to their statement, which is from their Board of Governors. Here it said, it's with deep disappointment that the Board of the San Diego Scottish Highland Games announces the cancellation of the 2025 Games. Yeah. So the difficult decision comes as a result of sudden and significant cost increases associated with securing our previous venue. This unforeseen expense has made it financially unfeasible to proceed with hosting the games this year. Wow. There you go. So the San Diego Highland Games will not be happening this incoming year. Yikes. So, yeah, I think this is kind of just illustrating the fact that a lot of these competitions, not just here in the UK, but globally, are also starting to feel the pinch with costs increasing. And, yeah, that's definitely one of them falling by the wayside. That's really unfortunate, that. Well, so, yeah, thank you, buddy, for that. He does go on to say, can you please give a mention that Rob McClintock's School of Piping and Drumming is still happening in Carlsbad in California on June 21st to the 27th. There you are, absolutely. I've just done that, buddy. Yeah, for more information, of course, you can go and look for that on socials. The Rob McClintock School of Piping and Drumming is still happening in June. There you are. So just wanted to throw that out there. Thanks, buddy, for your email. Appreciate it, man. All right. Well, we have got another email in, and I wanted to draw attention to this in the news and updates, but yeah, I'm going to do it in listener mail here. Yeah. The Midwest Highland Arts Fund sent us a very quick email just to let us know that their fundraising efforts as part of this year's live stream, have now exceeded their $10,000 target. Whoa! That's brilliant. Yeah, now we've been encouraging as many people as we can that if you did watch any of the live stream stuff from the dojo from this year's Winter Storm, so please do drop them a couple of quid. You know, yeah, but we dare say that live streaming an event of that magnitude could not have been easy and definitely would have come with its own set of expenses to cover. And yeah, thanks to the Midwest Highland Arts Fund who do, their active fundraising by having like a GoFundMe link or a PayPal link and all this kind of stuff where you can go and help them fundraise. And hey, it's just brilliant to see that they've exceeded their target of 10 grand. There you are. So congratulations, Midwest Highland Arts Fund. That's brilliant. And I really hope a continued success for next year's Winter Storm. Yeah, I know a lot of people who were paying attention to this year's Winter Storm in particular, seen a lot of the footage online, are now starting to make travel plans. Now, I've been telling you already that Winter Storm is amazing and that every January I have proper FOMO. Yeah, so I don't know. Will I get next year? Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, before we go off the topic of listener mail, I just wanted to remind you all, please do get your listener mail into us. bigrabshow@gmail.com. That address again, bigrabshow@gmail.com. We do have future episodes that we're working on. A lot of it is kind of admin-based at the minute in our inbox. But, yeah, if you do have any thoughts, opinions, even suggestions for topic of the week and stuff like that, is there things that you want us to talk about, big interviews that you would like us to try and catch, then absolutely, email us in. Our listener mail is the lifeblood of the show, so bigrabshow@gmail.com. Let us know, and we'll do our best to reflect it here on future shows. All right. Okay, well, normally at this point in the show, we would normally have our Weekly Drone. But as we mentioned last week on the show, unfortunately, our voice of Weekly Drone, JD, is experiencing a bereavement at the moment. So JD will not be on the show this week. But, however, we do hope JD will be able to return in the near future. So we do have a number of Weekly Drones on the shelf, and JD will be put to work at some stage, and JD will be joining us again when he returns in a future show. All right, but you can submit your own Weekly Drones completely anonymous, which is an open microphone to the bagpiping world. And yeah, you can let us know your thoughts and opinions, warts and all, of course, completely anonymous. Go to our website, thebigrabshow.com. Big button at the top of the page saying Weekly Drone. Just click on that and let us know your stories. And yeah, JD will record them for you and it'll hit the air here on the show at some stage. Yeah. Now, I dare say, with some of the news and updates that we have to discuss this week, there's going to be some Weekly Drones. All right, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to predict it. There's definitely going to be some Weekly Drones. Playing requirements. Oh, no. We're not going to get into it just yet. But that's definitely going to be one of them. Playing requirements. Ouch. Okay. I'm not going to tap dance on that landmine just yet. But before I do, I want to talk about the Super Bowl. All right. Now, I do know a good number of you out there don't follow the NFL, and the Super Bowl is just another day. All right. Yes, the Buffalo Bills. My team got put out by Kansas City. Boo. Yeah, and I was absolutely heartbroken, and it was such a great game, to be fair. You know, both teams really fought for it. Everything you would want from a good game. And yes, Kansas City Chiefs made it through to the big Super Bowl and faced the Eagles, and the rest is history. Well done to the Eagles, I guess. The reason I am even mentioning this in the first place, what has the Super Bowl got to do with pipe and rab? Well, I have to tell you, see the amount of pipers and drummers who are also NFL fans? Like, honestly, my phone, I had to put it on charge like twice during the game. The amount of people that were messaging each other and me, and I was in so many different group chats all the way through the game. Yeah, it was kind of nuts. It seemed to be like a huge piping and drumming gathering, all talking about NFL. And it was just so much fun. So to everyone who was messaging, I have to say a massive thank you. You kept me all thoroughly entertained all night long. I think the last message I got was like 5:30 in the morning. Yeah, so by the time I actually hit the hay, it was about 5 a.m. So it was a long night, but wow, so much fun. A great game, and maybe the result was great for some and not for others. That's the NFL, I guess. Do we even want to talk about the halftime show with Kendrick Lamar? I'll be brutally honest, I didn't know who Kendrick Lamar was until he stepped up there and started singing out some of his songs, and I go, oh, I kind of recognize that. I think I heard that in the radio. But, you know, can he play Extra Spay? I don't know. But, yeah, I have a whole new appreciation for Kendrick Lamar, and I may well check out some of his music in future, who knows. But fair play to any artist, by the way, that does that. You know, that big halftime show, I've seen some of the viewing figures on that, and you're talking like millions and millions of people tune into that. And would you not just crumble? Imagine if you had an early chanter and there was millions watching you in the halftime show. Wouldn't you just crumble and fall to bits? Anyway, I don't know. Will we ever see a bagpiper in the Super Bowl halftime show? I highly doubt it. But hey, that could be stuff that Rab got wrong. If there has ever been a bagpiper in the halftime show of the Super Bowl, send it in to me. I'd be very curious. I would love to see it. Yeah, who knows? It could be a future episode of Rab Reacts. Yeah, anyway, Super Bowl was fun. Just wanted to drop that in there. Yeah, commiserations to Kansas City. I did want to see you go in and win the thing after putting the Bills out, you know. But, hey, well done to the Eagles. Great result. There you go. All right, so NFL chat will resume at another time, I guess. It's now the off-season for the NFL, which means piping season's just around the corner. So, yeah, we've got a lot of news and updates to get through, I guess. So, I'm going to take a little short break, and I'll be right back when we have to get through all of these, yeah. Do you wish piping could be fun again? Bagpipers around the world continue to struggle with their instrument, despite hours of hard work trying to get better. Bagpiping should be fulfilling. Your hard work should pay off, showing improvement and the freedom to express yourself musically. Or why do it? The Dojo University believe every piper should be able to free themselves from musical frustration, proven over more than a decade of successful teaching and accessible anywhere with an internet connection. The Dojo is unlike any other bagpipe learning experience in the world. Let the Dojo channel your enthusiasm into a fun and fulfilling program that will empower you with the knowledge to fall in love with piping all over again. So go to dojouniversity.com/Big Rab and take advantage of our 30-day free trial of Dojo Premium membership. Join the global community of students today and rediscover the fun of bagpiping. dojouniversity.com/Big Rab for a 30-day free trial. Ready to take your playing to the next level? Say hello to the ES Session Chanter, the ultimate practice chanter designed for versatility and durability. Crafted from stainless steel and aluminium, the chanter comes equipped for both an A stem and a B flat stem, giving you the freedom to play along with any instrument, anytime, anywhere. Whether at a band practice or a trad session, the ES Session Chanter keeps pace with your creativity. Included with the chanter is the custom carbon carry case, the perfect addition to this compact and tactile instrument. To get yours, head to essessionchanter.co.uk. Alrighty, let's get into the news and updates, and we have to lead with that story, the playing requirements for 2025. It seemed to take them forever to get to this stage, and that has been a bit of a bone of contention for a lot of pipe bands here that have been preparing for this incoming season. And this is vitally important, I have to say. And so it's great to see that it's finally sorted. Our calendar has been in place for quite a while now. With 4 majors announced, we have the UK's, Scottish, Euros, and of course the big one, the Worlds. But nobody knew what we were playing at these competitions for a good number of weeks. Well, finally, rspba.org put out the announcement telling us what the playing requirements are. Huzzah! Right. Let's get into it. This is a bit of a talking point, because the goalposts have moved significantly in some parts. Let's get on to that. Now, if you do read the statement that they published on their website, they did tell you that the groundwork for this year's playing requirements did actually start back in 2023. Remember that survey they put out to pipe majors and lead tippers in Grade 1 all the way back then? Well, apparently the playing requirements were an element of that, and we're going to see a flavour of that feedback coming through now for this competitive season. An interesting one. Also, the following year in 2024, last year, the Grade 2 bands were surveyed by headquarters, and we're starting to see some of the outfall from that as well. So, a huge big melting pot. In summary, we've finally reached a conclusion. We now have our playing requirements. Let's talk about the Worlds. First of all, the big yin, of course, as everyone's going to be paying attention to. Starting with the, for all the 4B, 4A, Novice Juvenile A bands, all of their playing requirements remain the same for the entire season. All right, so for Grade 4B, you have 4 two-part marches to play. That's it. And you have your map tunes all on your prescribed list and everything. And same for the Novice and Grade 4A, you have your MSR. So 1 4-parted march or a 2-parted march, and you have a 1 4-parted Strathspey or a 2-part Strathspey. You get it? Or 1 4-parted reel or a 2-parted reel. There you are. Just depending on your band's strengths, I guess, depending on whether you can play 4-parted tunes or just 2. Up to you in Grade 4A. Let's skip on ahead, I suppose, Looking at the juvenile grade then, for the Worlds this year will be MSR. There you go. So that's for the juvenile grade. Looking at Grade 3 then, so that incorporates both Grade 3A and 3B. The qualifying on the day of the Worlds will be an MSR. Then, if you make it through to the final, then, there'll be a medley selection. Indeed. So that's to say if there will be a qualifying or not. We don't know yet. We have to wait and see how many bands enter for 3A and 3B, but past experience kind of tells you that, yes, there will be a qualifying for Grade 3, A and B. We'll just have to wait and see on that front. Moving on to Grade 2. Now, this one, there's 2 different scenarios, which is a little bit confusing. All right, scenario number 1. All right, stick with me on this one, because scenario number 1. Now, this is if there is a qualifying. All right, scenario number 1, if we're needing a qualifying, then bands will have to play twice. You will start with your medley in the morning for your qualifying, all right? Then in the afternoon, if you make it through, then in the final, you're playing your MSR, and you have to submit 2 of those, and you draw on the line. All right, that's scenario number 1. Scenario number 2, however, if there doesn't need to be a qualifying, doesn't matter. Your band has to play twice that day. Oh, that's a twist in the tail, isn't it? Yeah, so if it's under the threshold where it doesn't need to have a qualifying, so for that it needs to have 23 bands or less in Grade 2, then your band will play twice. You'll play an MSR in the morning, where you'll have to submit 2, draw on the line, and then in the afternoon you'll play your medley selection. That's a new twist right there for Grade 2. And yeah, we'll just have to wait and see which scenario will play out. Yeah, just have to wait and see on that one. All right, let's talk about Grade 1 then. The Friday. Of course, the talk of everyone. Of course, you have to play a medley of your choice on both days. But yeah, which day is the mini MSR? Well, the mini MSR is actually happening on the Saturday. Ooh, yes. There you go. So the Friday is a big MSR day for Grade 1. There you go. Hope that kind of summarizes it all. All of this is, by the way, it's all listed on the website, okay? So it's all on the RSPBA site. You can go and look at all of your playing requirements. They're all up there now. But that's the Worlds, all right? It's a very interesting scenario there for Grade 2, specifically with the World Championships. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting season, that one. The Worlds is going to be one to be talked about this year. All right, let's go through some of our other major championships. We're going to stick with, Grade 1 for now for the UK Championships is an MSR, all right? And it's the big one. It's the big MSR, I think. Yeah, minimum 4 parts. There you go. Grade 2, medley for the UKs. Also for the UKs is MSR for Grade 3. There you are, and medley for the juvenile. Scottish Championships then, we have medley selection for Grade 1, and you have to submit 2 of those, draw on the line. And for Grade 2 in the Scottish in Dumbarton, it's an MSR. Yes, draw on the line. 2 MSRs to be submitted and 1 to be played. Grade 3 then at the Scottish in Dumbarton is medley selection. Yeah, and the juvenile grade has MSR. On to the Euros then in Perth, just ahead of the big one then in Grade 1. Going to be an interesting day. We'll talk about that in a second or two. I want to go the other way this time. I want to go to Grade 2. For the Euros is medley. All right, Grade 3, MSR, juvenile, medley. That's all for the Euros, all right? All pretty straightforward, you might say. However, the Euros will have Grade 1 bands playing twice. Now, I'm not talking about qualifying and all that kind of stuff. No, I'm talking about playing twice. You will have to play your mini MSR in the morning, all right? Mini MSR in the morning, and then your medley in the afternoon. Ooh, there you go. So, yeah, the Euros just got a little spicier. Hey, there you go. So, yeah, that's very exciting right there, isn't it? Yeah, but the medley selection in the Euros, you have to draw on the line as well. Yeah, so all bands play their mini MSR, and then they draw their medley for the afternoon. That's going to be a tough competition there. Now, it has been rumoured that would have been the case for the full season. Yeah, a lot of the rumours and, emails that we get in saying, we've heard it that all Grade 1 bands are playing twice this year at every competition. Yikes, I have to say. But I think they're trying this at the Euros to see how it will go. All right? Now, whether this is an experiment to see, will this work? Will it not work? I don't know. Or is this a sign of the times for the future? Will all Grade 1 bands be expected to play twice at every major championship rolling forward? I guess we'll have to wait and see on that front. But the European Championships for this year, the Grade 1 big guns have to play twice. Yeah. Now, I have to say, there is some positives and negatives with this. Absolutely there's negatives involved, especially if it's a wet or a terribly bad weather day. Yeah, these bands will potentially have their instruments soaked twice. Yeah. But also, if it is a good day, sound-wise, and it's dry, at least, well, then every Grade 1 band in that circle will have an opportunity to get a run out twice in front of a guy with a clipboard. Yeah, which is invaluable. That's really, needed, I guess, ahead of the big one then, the following week then in Glasgow. So, yeah, there is positives and negatives with this. I guess we're just going to have to see what conditions are like in Perth in August. So, wait and see. But, folks, for all of what I've just talked about, go and check it out on the rspba.org. There's been a lot of discussion about this online, about the pros and cons of all of it. There's a lot to delve into here. But, especially that Grade 2 element for the Worlds. That's an interesting one. And then the Euros for Grade 1. I don't know. There's a lot to delve into. And I think that will be part of our full season preview as we start, looking forward to these major championships. And then, what do we think? How is it going to fall out? Ooh, it's going to be interesting. But that's all up there now. rsppa.org. There you go. Right, let's get into some more interesting stories, shall we? Okay, I need to talk about the Invictus Games. Now, did you guys manage to see all of the coverage thanks to the BC Pipers Association, who are uploading lots of different video footage from behind the scenes at the sort of opening ceremony from the games? The games themselves are absolutely huge. I have to say that I can't put across the scale of this event. Like, it's massive. Absolutely massive. And as part of the opening ceremony, they had amassed pipes and drums to kind of, rile everybody up and get ready for the games. And it was absolutely brilliant to see. Shout out to everyone there at the BC Pipers Association and everyone involved in that opening ceremony. It was such a spectacle. Honestly, there was hundreds of pipers and drummers and drum majors, and it was just fantastic. Yeah. So, I have to give a shout out to some of the bands that were involved in this, of course. Shout out to the Delta Police Pipe Band, the Greater Victoria Pipe Band, the Grail and Crossan Pipe Band were there as well, the Irish Pipes and Drums, yeah, the JP Fell Pipe Band, the RCMP, yes, the E Division Pipe Band were there, the Robert Malcolm Memorial were there. Go on, the Robert Malcolm. Yeah, the Seaforth Highlanders, and, of course, the Simon Fraser University Pipe Band were there as well, SFU. Yeah, we had the Sons of Scotland Pipe Band there represented as well. We had the Surrey Firefighters Pipes and Drums, the Surrey Police Service Pipes and Drums, and Vancouver Police Department, along with the White Spot Pipe Band. There you go. So, I don't know, and a lot of others, pipers and drummers, who didn't have affiliated pipe bands were also in attendance. If you haven't seen the opening ceremony from this year's Invictus Games, it's in a massive Olympic-sized stadium, and it was just rammed of pipers and drummers. It was fantastic. Well done to absolutely everybody involved. I was absolutely glued to all of the kind of behind-the-scenes-y kind of stuff that the BC Pipers had been putting up on their socials. And then, of course, I caught up what was on the national media here, of course, as part of the ceremony. All the speeches and all of that. Just fantastic. It's brilliant to see piping and drumming represented on such a huge global scale like this. And represented in such a professional way, by the way, as well. The band absolutely sounded fantastic, which is difficult to do in a mass pipes and drum setting with so many musicians involved. Honestly, thought you've all done a cracking job, so well done to everybody involved there. All those bands I shouted out, yeah, just fantastic to see you all in the huge stadium on the big screen, thumping out some big tunes, boy, it was brilliant. Okay, the elephant in the room at this stage. Again, we're seeing more changes with leaderships in some of our Grade 1 big guns. And again, it's been the topic of conversation in every band hall. I am absolutely certain of it. Yeah, just at the point of us uploading last week's podcast, a news story dropped from Shots in Dykehead, Caledonia, with quite a huge announcement, actually, which has kind of rocked the bagpiping world from a Grade 1 perspective. Yeah. Shots in Dykehead, Caledonia announced a change in their leadership of their drum corps. Yes, welcoming their new lead drummer, David Henderson. Yes, now that name might ring a bell with quite a number of you. I'll talk about that in a second. But, of course, David is well known in the ranks of Shots in Dykehead and has been a member of the band for, years. He's got a real storied history with the Shots, and here he is returning, but now in a leadership role. Yeah. So, yeah, let's get into what David actually said about his appointment. In the statement, he said, "Firstly, I want to say a huge thank you to Ewan Henderson, Duncan Nicholson, and all at Police Scotland and Federation Pipe Band." So he opens with that, and that's what everybody was thinking. Yeah. Yeah, that's the name that's familiar to everybody for a reason. He was the lead tipper of Police Scotland and Federation. Yeah, so he has now stepped away from that role and instead taking up the leadership at Shots. Yeah. He goes on to say they have worked tirelessly in their roles and have sincerely enjoyed working alongside them. I wish them and the band all the very best moving forward. I am honoured to become the next leading drummer of Shots in Dykehead, Caledonia. I have a long history with the band and I am excited to be fulfilling a childhood dream. Isn't that brilliant? There you go. I look forward to the exciting road ahead, working with Emmett to produce exciting and innovative music. Yeah, Pipe Major Emma Conway also said as part of the statement, he said, "Firstly, I want to express my thanks to Grant Cassidy on all of the hard work that he put into the band over the past 18 months. Additionally, I'm thrilled to welcome David Henderson back to the band and eagerly anticipate collaborating with him. I have complete confidence that he'll bring great experience and leadership to the band." Yeah, now, that has been the topic of conversation now for a while, okay? David, obviously, with leaving Police Scotland and Federation Pipe Band, is now leaving a gap in that leadership role that needs to be fulfilled. So ourselves and the Rab Show, just today, actually, we published an advertisement on behalf of the band seeking a brand new lead tipper. Yeah, for the Federation Band. Yeah, they put it out on our socials, I guess, on the Rab Show. It said that due to unforeseen circumstances, Police Scotland and Federation Pipe Band are now seeking a new lead tipper with immediate effect. They go on to say that the Pipe Corps are in a very healthy position and the band has excellent support from its partners, Police Scotland and the Scottish Police Federation. There you are. Yes, goes on to say that applications are open and will be closing on the 28th of February. So if you are interested in the position of lead tipper of the Federation, then you can contact Pipe Major Ewan Henderson. And there's lots of different contact details provided as part of our advertisement. So there's a lot of moving and shaking at the top, isn't there? I don't know. It's difficult to keep up with, I guess. This is affectionately known as the transfer season. And we would normally see things they would normally be sorted by now, you know? But to see announcements like this in February, that's worrying from some regards, you know? Are we really giving these new leaders time to bed in and develop their musical voice over that time? I think David will definitely have his work cut out. Now, that's not to say that the drummers and shots, they'll absolutely be fit for the task, you know? Listening to Grant Cassidy's chord last year, they were absolutely melt your face. We're just insane how talented these drummers are. It's mental. So, yeah, I have every confidence that David will be up for the task, and so will the drum corps. Well, it will be a mountain to climb, however, at this late game in the season, I guess. But, hey, that's very exciting for a multitude of reasons. Number one, we are very keen to see the music that David is going to bring to that back line at Shots. We absolutely know the music that he can produce with the Federation Band over this last few seasons has just been fantastic. And last night on Fuse, actually, we played a good number of those Federation medleys from over the years. And yeah, the drumming from David has just been fantastic. Technical and really musical and really enjoyable, I have to say, as well. Really looking forward to seeing what is going to unpack there at Shots. So this will develop a whole new musical approach for Shots and Dykehead. We absolutely have no doubt. Whenever you do change a leadership role, either at the Pipe Corps, as the Pipe Major, or in the back line at the drummers, then it can absolutely fundamentally change a pipe band. Looking forward to seeing what's happening there. Then, of course, we need to find out what's going to happen at the Federation, because they're now on the hunt for a brand new lead tipper. And as you've just heard, applications will close on the 28th of February. And we're really hopeful by that time they will have managed to have sourced someone to be able to fulfill that role. And yeah, we're very much looking forward to seeing who that will be and then what it's going to sound like. Oh, so that's exciting. Now, I have to talk about the rumours, okay? Let's talk about rumours. As with any change in personnel, there is always rumours, all right? There's a million different stories bouncing around the place. Oh, there was a fallout, there was this fallout, and they're not speaking, and they're not falling out, and now these boys all walked, and these men boys walked in, and they... What? No. Absolute nonsense. If anything, hey, it's not going to be seeing the light of day here on the Big Rab Show, I have to say, because we only like to really stick to the facts as they're reported, okay? Yeah, so that's it. We've got the story from the horse's mouth. As we've said this in previous shows, you know, we don't like reporting on rumours because we can't really say if there's much kudos to those, you know? So, yeah, this is a leadership change. It all seems very amicable, and we're really looking forward to seeing what that's going to bring musically to both these Grade 1 big guns. It'll be very exciting. So good luck to David Henderson and everyone there at Shots. Really looking forward to seeing what you guys are going to be doing there musically. And also to Ewan Henderson and everyone there at the Federation. Really excited who's going to step into that leadership role now. And that could absolutely, fundamentally change the back line there. I'm really looking forward to that developing too. Oh, brilliant. Now, the one sort of, well, I guess the loose end that everyone is now talking about is, where is Grant Cassidy going to go? Okay, because Grant Cassidy now, of course, no longer in the leadership role of Shots, and we have yet to hear where he's playing, or if he's playing anywhere. As you guys know, Grant Cassidy is a member of the Red Hot Chili Pipers. We did speak to him here on the show about that, having a leadership role of a Grade 1 pipe band, as well as one of the biggest piping acts in the world, and just how does he balance the two? He did say that he does manage to balance it, but it is a challenge at times. So will we now see Grant Cassidy now dedicating, most of his time now to the Chili's? We are aware that the Red Hot Chili Pipers have a full US tour booked already. It's in the calendar. You can check their website for full details. The Chili's are going to be touring like crazy over this next few months. It's going to be a really busy year for them. So will Grant Cassidy be, pouring all of his efforts into that? Or will he return to another pipe band in a leadership role as a player? Who knows? We have absolutely no clue, but we are waiting to hear where that will be or what that will be, I guess. So for Grant Cassidy fans, just bear with us. We will, as soon as we hear the news, we will talk about it here on the pod, of course. Again, please don't pay attention to the rumors. There's probably tons of them. Oh, I hear Grant is playing here. I hear Grant is playing there. Yeah, until Grant actually says it and says, okay, folks, I am going to be doing this, then, yeah, we have to hear it from the horse's mouth. Isn't that what they say? So don't pay attention to the rumors. There's tons of them, lots of stories all flying around the place. And, yeah, we very rarely report rumor here. If we do, we tell you that it is a rumor, and take it with a huge pinch of salt, all right? But we're not even going to get into the weeds on this, okay? Now, of course, they're not the only Grade 1 big gun with leadership changes. Of course, we have the Field Marshal Montgomery, which had quite significant changes with leadership roles, I guess, with PM and lead tipper changing at FM. But also, we have People's Forward, Boghall and Bathgate as well, but they're a new pipe major too. Yeah, so there's been a lot of change in Grade 1. And that could really throw the cat amongst the pigeons whenever it comes to our first major championship in the UK Championships on the 12th of July. That's going to be such an interesting competition for a load of different reasons. Oh, man, I cannot wait for this season. It's just going to be so good. Well, anyway, let's fly on. That's your big news story, I guess, from Shots, Federation, and everything else aside. Big changes, eh? Also, speaking of big changes, I have to mention, again, as soon as we pressed upload on our podcast last week, we got a huge announcement from the RSPBA Northern Ireland branch. Yeah, we got a message from the chairman, Alistair Patterson, who put it out on their socials, a bit of a statement, basically saying that he has reached a decision to stand down from his role as chairman of the branch. Yikes. Now, I have to say, ourselves in the Big Rab Show, we had a great working relationship with Alistair and with everybody there at RSPBA Northern Ireland. And yeah, this was really sad news from everyone really here locally in Northern Ireland who, sorry to see Alistair go, I guess. He's absolutely done a smashing job since he took up the role back in 2022, I believe. He, on his full statement, he does say that it was not an easy decision to make, but he had to take a lot of time to reflect on this, and he does believe that it's the right decision at this point in time, and will be stepping down as role of chairman in the RSPBA Northern Ireland. You are. So, who's going to be taking up that mantle? We don't know, but honestly, they have incredibly big brogues to fill. Yeah, Alistair, as we've said, has done absolutely a smashing job. If anything, has been at the forefront of a lot of new initiatives that the piping scene hasn't seen before. Like pipe major and lead tipper town hall meetings that were held. That was held in Northern Ireland first, I believe, and now we're seeing it reflected in other branches as well. There was a lot of different firsts that the Northern Ireland branch came out with since 2022, And a lot of that was thanks to the hard work of Alistair Patterson behind the scenes and other officials in that regard in the branch too. Yeah, RSPBA Northern Ireland branch, sometimes we like to give them stick here on the show, of course. But honestly, they do a serious amount of volunteer work behind the scenes to make our piping scene move. And it has been moving in a very positive direction since Alistair took up that role as chairman. Of course, we had a very close working relationship with all of them there. As a result, of all the ongoing initiatives and work that they were doing, and ourselves in the Rab Show were doing our best to cover every single aspect of it. Now, whether, that relationship will continue, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. I don't know. But I have to stress, I want to say a huge thank you from all of us here in the Big Rab Show team to the chairman of the Northern Ireland branch, Alistair Patterson, who has moved on. Just wanted to say a massive, massive thank you, Alistair, for all of the hard work over the years. It has really went just appreciated by all of us here in the Rab Show team, and the piping scene here locally has been, thriving as a result. So well done to Alistair. Now, he's not completely stepping away from the bagpiping world. As you guys might know, he is a drum major adjudicator, and he has said that he will be returning back more to that. His adjudicating role. He'll be, judging a lot more this incoming season, all right? Instead of walking around with the chain on and organising competitions, he'll be there with the clipboard and judging drum majors. So, there you are. So, we will still see Alistair out on the grass, so don't worry, he's not going to disappear, but he is definitely stepping down from that senior leadership role within the branch. There you are. So, as to who's going to fulfill that role going forward, we have absolutely no clue, but we will certainly be keeping across that because we do know that the AGM is fast approaching here for RSPBA headquarters. Yeah, we spoke about that last week. We did give you a heads up as to the date. I'm going to throw it in here again and remind you it's happening on the 8th of March. Yep, just a wee reminder, 8th of March, RSPBA AGM. And you get that date in your diary, folks. You really shouldn't forget this. It is a hybrid meeting, so even if you can't travel to Glasgow, be there in person, please make sure your band secretary is aware that they can tune in online thanks to Zoom. So, you can still have your band's voice heard. You can register your vote on some important issues. It's a meeting not to miss. So, there you are, 8th of March. Get that date in your diary. Now, I don't know, will we have an RSPBA chairman in Northern Ireland appointed before the AGM? I don't know. Do we need to? Do we really? I don't know if we really have to have that sorted before the AGM. That could be, I don't know. You guys can email me and tell me what the crack is there. I don't know how the rules are on that. But anyway, for now, Alistair Patterson has stepped down as chairman. We're very sorry for that. We do think he's going to be missed from that role greatly. But hey, good luck to whoever does take up that appointment. They do have big brogues to fill, for sure. And we will absolutely be keeping you guys across it as soon as we hear any more information as to who will be fulfilling that role this incoming season. Okay, let's talk about a new story that dropped on the 6th of February there last week, actually. Just a day after we published the pod. We got a huge announcement from the Armagh Pipers Club. But really quite sad news, to be fair. Yeah, after 30 years of running the William Kennedy Piping Festival, it has decided to close its doors. Yeah, after 30 consecutive festivals, it's over. Yeah, now for the full statement, you can go to armaghpipers.com. This festival, the William Kennedy Festival, has seen some of the biggest names in piping. Honestly, I don't know. The sheer volume of people that have played at this over those 30 years, I can't put it into words just how iconic this event was. I also have to say that it was responsible for a lot of the new music that we listen to today. A lot of the collaborations and bands that are out gigging, frequently now, were as a direct result of the William Kennedy Piping Festival. I'm going to name one little duo in here that you might be familiar with, but Ross Ainsley and Charlotte Henderson, they met at the William Kennedy Piping Festival. So, that tells you. Now, there was, people playing at this from all around the globe. The Italy, Germany, France, Australia, America, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, come on, everywhere. And I'm going to start naming countries now. But honestly, this festival was absolutely global and was a celebration of piping in all its forms. Now, I do know that the Armagh Pipers Club is essentially an Ullen piping club, but the whole piping festival itself did have a Highland bagpiping element to it, and they took great pride in that as well. So, yeah, the William Kennedy Piping Festival has a shocking amount of history involved. If you don't know anything about the festival, I would encourage you to go to their website, armaghpipers.com, or you can even just type it into your search engine, William Kennedy Piping Festival, and you can find a wealth of blistering trad music there. I don't know. This is such gutting news for all of us, and sorry to see the festival go. However, it's not all bad news, though. Because the Armagh Pipers Club did say that they're now going to be focusing their efforts elsewhere. Now, that's a bit of a tease, isn't it? So, as to what that will be, we have no idea. Now, we do know that they are heavily involved in tuition and running all sorts of sessions all across the island. But, what could possibly replace the William Kennedy Piping Festival? Are we potentially getting something bigger? Who knows? But if we do hear any other details, as to what will be happening in future, thanks to the Armagh Pipers Club, we'll certainly keep you guys across that for sure. Yeah. So, sad news. After 30 years, the William Kennedy Piping Festival has shut its doors. But, what a history. What a tenure, I have to say. And, such an iconic festival, definitely finished on a high, for sure. Okay, now, an event that we mentioned, on a previous podcast, obviously, was the huge event, An Audience with Terry Tully. Now, we mentioned this on the pod, that it was happening in the Valley Hotel in 5 Mile Town, and a good number of you who listened to the show sent us a thanks, actually, because a good number of you actually went to this. The place actually seemed to be packed out. So, I have to say thank you to everyone who sent us little video clips and stuff. A good number of those ended up on We Love Pipe Bands as well on their socials. So, just fantastic. Some great tunes played by Terry Tully. Of course, Stephen Crichton thumped out some big tunes as well. And Brendan Murphy as well. I don't know. Such a fantastic event. So, just shout out to everyone involved there. And, of course, to Terry, to Stephen and Brendan. Just a brilliant night there for sure. Yeah, now, we did mention last week about St. Lawrence O'Toole getting some new drums, okay? Yeah, and there was photographs of Stephen Crichton at this event this past weekend playing, a silver Premier drum. Ooh, now that got people talking, going, hold on, is this a new drum? Is this what St. Lawrence's new drums are going to look like? I don't know. We can neither confirm nor deny that is the case. It might have been a drum that he borrowed from somewhere. We just don't know. But, that certainly got the rumour mill spinning. Yeah, St. Lawrence O'Toole have been teasing it this last while about their impending delivery of new drums. But, they haven't actually announced what they look like yet. So did we get a cheeky sneak preview at this event in 5 Mile Town? I guess we're going to have to wait and see. Once we get the official announcement, of course. But, let's say this. The rumour machine is flying. Yeah, after Stephen was playing that silver Premier drum. Anyway, let's fly on. Okay, just wanted to mention it here on the pod. I guess another date for your diary, I suppose. But the 22nd of March will see the MacDonald Memorial Pipe Band Juvenile Solo Competition. Yeah, so if anyone interested in that, that's a date for your diary right there. However, the closing date for all entries for this competition is the 8th of March. So if you are wanting to play in that competition, you haven't got long. For full information, you can go and check out the MacDonald Memorial Pipe Band on their socials. The competition itself will be held in Dromore High School in Banbridge Road in Dromore, of course, on the 22nd of March. And as I've said, check out the MacDonald Memorial Pipe Band for all of your information with regards to that contest. But, I've been told that this one's going to be quite a big one, for sure. Yeah, so as I said, closing date for entries, 8th of March. But the competition itself is happening on the 22nd, so we'll keep across that, especially if you have any results and stuff. So, that's interesting, that. Okay, have to give a few shout-outs to some drum majors here locally in Northern Ireland who were involved in all sorts of performances all across the province. First of all, I have to mention the County Armagh drum major class who performed at the Weber's Wheels event. Yeah, we have a little video clip of that now up on our socials. You can go and have a watch at that. Shout out to you guys. Also, I have to give a mention to Holly Gracie as well. He was there, part of Clougharan District's pipe band, and their concert as well. So, hi, there you go. Shout out to the County Armagh drum major class. Fantastic. Also have to give a mention to the Force drum major display team, who were part of the Burns Supper in Ballymoney, which did seem to be quite a huge event, actually, by all accounts. And, had some real good piping and drumming on offer as well. So, we've got more videos of that in the pipeline coming your way soon. But, shout out to the Force. And their display actually had all sorts of really cool dancing involved as well. Irish dancing and Scottish dancing. So, very, very cool. So, shout out to the Force. All right. Well, this past weekend, not only locally here did we have performances by drum majors aplenty at Weber's Wheels and, of course, Burns Suppers and the likes. Well, all of our attention was in France. Yes, the Bagadoo National Championships was this past weekend. I have to say, a lot of very familiar faces were competing at this, And I was watching all of it. All of the performances were now up online, and you could absolutely sit and watch the entire live stream, even though I didn't understand any of it, because it was all in French, of course. But the music itself was just... Wow. Yeah, I don't know. Some of the performances just blew my socks off. But, the competition itself, all the Grade 1 competition on the day, well, I guess their equivalent of Grade 1, they call it their first category. So their first category competition, the winner was Bagot Cap Caval. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. And man, did I enjoy that run, I have to say. And again, Cap Caval had a lot of very familiar faces in there. And if you haven't seen the run yet, we'd have threw that out there on socials. We've shared it out a dozen times now because I've enjoyed it so much, honestly. It's kind of a musical journey, all of these performances, And I just can't stress that this is not an MSR. It's not a hornpipe jig. But it really is just a musical journey. It's almost... It's one of those things you can put on and just zone out and let the music carry you in different places. Their use of percussion and, cutting in and out and different volumes and timbres and... I don't know. Just really, really super enjoyable. If you are going to watch them online, I would recommend using headphones as well, so you get all the little nuances and stuff. I have to say the production value on this is just brilliant. Whoever does their sound and visuals absolutely smashed it. So well done to the production company. Just fantastic coverage. And the music was incredible. So if you haven't seen the music from the Bagadoo Championships, please go on to the Big Rab Show socials. We have shared all of those out as we've tried our best to. And some of the music on offer here was fantastic. To be fair, one of my favourite performances didn't win, okay? I'm going to throw myself under the bus here. I really, really enjoyed Bagad Brig. All right? Oh! Now, I know people are going to complain, but Bagad Brig actually finished up 4th. So that shows what I know. I'm certainly not an expert in this field. But shout out to Cap Caval, who lifted it. So well done to everyone there at Bagad Cap Caval. In second place then was Bagad Kemper. I actually really loved their run too. And the percussion on that one. The drumming too. Anyway... I can't choose, but for me, the 4th place finisher was a real highlight for me. Bagad Brig, really enjoyed that. And 3rd place then was Bagad Ranced Moore. There you are. So honestly, folks, the music on offer here at this championships was just blistering. To everyone who did travel to compete at this, I knew there was a good number of fly-in players, particularly from the UK, actually, who were kind of dipping their toe in the Bagad scene. Shout out to all of you. I think one of the familiar faces, I'm going to give you a shout out, Ross Miller. He got a very big close-up, so he did. And the camera kind of stayed on him for quite a bit of time. I don't know if that was intentional or not. But, he was one of many pipers within Bagad Cap Caval and had a great competition. And, shout out to everybody who travelled, thumped out some big tunes, melted our face. And, to everyone who... There was a lot of behind-the-scenes snaps and stuff. You seem to be having way too much fun at these events, folks. So just knock it off. You're just having too much fun. I'm joking, of course. It was fantastic. So well done to everyone. And, of course, to our champions, Bagad Cap Caval. Go and have a watch of that run if you haven't. It's a real treat. Do you know, we love a bit of innovation here on the Big Rab Show. And yes, this might only be February, but we do have a brand new product. Yeah, thanks to Jim Kilpatrick Percussion, we got a huge announcement actually just a while ago about a brand new state-of-the-art tuner. Yeah, it's called the Strobo Plus HDC. There you are, that's quite a mouthful. But yeah, the Strobo Plus HDC tuner, apparently it does work with bagpipes and, more importantly, tenor drums. Ooh, yeah, now we do know a lot of tenor drummers out there that use bagpipe tuners to tune their drums, but this is one specifically made for that task. Now, the unit itself really seems interesting. There's all sorts of different dials and buttons and doohickeys on it. It looks very interesting, for sure. So I don't know an awful lot about this machine, to be fair, but I'm going to start Googling around to see what I can find on it. The machine itself is 177 quid, so it is quite dear, quite pricey. But what you're getting for your money is a state-of-the-art bit of kit by the looks of things. It measures everything from 390 hertz to 490 hertz. So that's all pretty much within that Concert A reference range, you know. So if you are pitching your drums to be within the range of the Highland bagpipes, then bingo, this will sort you out, no bother. So it is USB rechargeable. Also, I think you can use replaceable batteries on it. Not entirely sure on that one, don't quote me. But not only is it a tuner, but you'll also have a configurable metronome as well with different accent patterns as well, tempo maps. It also, maps out polyrhythms and all that kind of stuff. It has a stopwatch and a timer for your practice and all the rest. As a built-in speaker, microphone, you can plug your headphones into it. This thing seems to be class. It pretty much ticks all the boxes for an all-in-one machine. So, yeah, go and check it out. JimKilpatrick.co.uk and the brand new product called the Strobo Plus HDC Tuner. It is pricey, but you seem to get a lot of bang for your buck with that one. So, yeah, I'll be keeping across that to see if anyone's actually purchased it and what they think of it. I'm very, very, very curious, to be fair, because you can tune pipes, but importantly, you can tune tenors with this. Yes, very cool bit of kit there. Shout out to Jim Kilpatrick. That's quite exciting. Also, we were mentioning drum major displays and that earlier. I have to give a mention to the Mid-Ulster Drum Major Academy. Yes. Shout out to all of those guys who were in concert in the Burnavon Theatre there in Cookstown, who were there as part of the Solus HD Cookstown event. So, hi. Shout out to the Mid-Ulster Drum Major Academy, who were also on display. So, I don't know, so many drum majors out and about this past weekend. It was just brilliant to see. So, yeah, shout out to all of you. Chucking maces about in Cookstown. Fantastic. Well done. Okay, we're very nearly at the news and updates, I promise. But there was one little bit of an announcement that we seen from the Celtic Pipe Band in New Zealand. This one was really quite exciting for a lot of different reasons. We reckon that this will be the start of these announcements coming from bands in New Zealand, because we know the New Zealand season is currently kind of reaching its crescendo in this next few months. And, we hope to see even more of these announcements in the future. The Celtic Pipe Band have announced that they're going to be attending the World Championships in Grade 2 this season. That's exciting. Not only that, but they also hope to have a European adventure in 2027. Yeah, so in a yet-to-be-confirmed location in Europe, or possibly in the UK, they plan to take a lot of their Grade 4 members to the competitions, hopefully there in Europe and the UK. That's exciting too. So, yeah, for anyone listening in New Zealand right now and you would like to take up that challenge with the Celtic Pipe Band, they do have spots available. They have 2 drumming positions available and 4 in the pipe corps. If you do want to travel to the Worlds to duke it out with everyone else in Grade 2, there's your opportunity. So shout out to the Celtic Pipe Band. What an exciting announcement. And we do reckon that this could be the start of more announcements to come of a lot of our international bands who will be travelling here to the UK to duke it out for the big one. Oh, that's exciting. All right, I'm going to wrap it up there. But before I do, I'll get one more wee plug in here for the Geoghegan Memorial Pipe Band, who are hosting a family table quiz and raffle, all to take place on the 1st of March in Lochbrickland District Hall. There you are. So just give them a shameless plug. Why not? That's on March 1st. Doors open at 8 p.m. and admission is a $5 a head. There you are. For more information, check out the Geoghegan Memorial Pipe Band on their socials. There you are. Right. As promised, I will wrap it up here. And we're about to get into a topic of the week this week, talking to Dan Nevans. Yes, and we'll talk all about the interview itself. But first of all, I have to mention that we have quite a special video up on YouTube for anyone who does want to see behind the scenes at the National Piping Centre. And we got quite a detailed tour, thanks to Dan Nevans, and it was all filmed for YouTube. So if you do want to see, what it's like to be in the hallowed halls of the National Piping Centre, then Dan gives us a full tour. It was really quite a cool video, that, actually, sneaking around behind the scenes, looking at all the practice rooms and all that stuff. Very cool. So, that video's up there now on our YouTube channel. Go and check that out. Shout out to Dan Nevans, because we're about to get into quite a huge interview with him here in a second or two. It's part of this week's topic of the week. So, I guess it's time for me to go and get myself a big cup of tea. It's time for the topic of the week. Kingdom Thistle Pipe Band Supplies. For all your pipe band and marching band needs. Supplying everything from uniforms and instruments to custom-designed bass drum heads. They offer it all. Not forgetting their exclusive Kingdom Ghillie Brogues and George Boots, crafted by bands for bands. Kingdom Thistle provides expert product advice and an industry-leading drum refurbishment service to keep your equipment in top-class condition. Also, shipping worldwide. So, stop by their store in Fife or visit them online at kingdomthistle.com for all your pipe band and marching needs. Wallace Bagpipes. Quality, pride and passion. Made in Scotland. Proud bagpipe supplier to the Red Hot Chili Pipers. From the most basic of sets to the most elaborate, they have something for everyone. Also offering bagpipe repairs and restoration. From a simple makeover to a full overhaul. From a chipped mount to a complete replacement. Wallace Bagpipes have you covered. Visit wallacebagpipes.com for more information or contact your nearest dealer. Alrighty, time for topic of the week, and you might have guessed by the title of this week's episode who we're going to be chatting to. Dan Nevans, of course. Now, by way of full disclosure, actually, this interview that we recorded with Dan was actually recorded at Pipin' Live. Yeah, the Wednesday of Pipin' Live last year, in fact. And this was an extra that we filmed for our Patreon faithful. So if you are part of the Patreon faithful, sorry, folks, you've already got access to this interview, and I'm sure a good number of you have actually enjoyed it already. But the reason we wanted to bring it to this week's podcast is we do believe that Dan Nevans dropped a whole lot of great wisdom here. And, we thought we need to share this with the wider audience for sure. So, we thought now was no better time to do that. So, as I said, this was all pre-recorded way back at Pipin' Live last year. So whenever we do reference things happening at Pipin' Live, they've already happened. But there's a lot of great stuff to get into here. We get to know Dan a little bit better, plus we get to hear some thoughts about modern day medley selections and stuff and all of that. The magic, as we're about to talk about. Yeah, such a great interview this. So let's not waste any more time. Let's welcome Dan to the podcast. So, Dan Nevans, Pipin' Live 2024. Mate, this rolls around so quick every year.
Quicker and quicker, I think, actually.
So tell me, what does the festival look like for you? You're an incredibly busy guy during this time.
Yeah, but I've actually managed to pare things down a little bit because I have an added, I was going to say stressor. It's not a stressor. An added joy this year. In that the school band project that I've been working on for 8 years has finally made it to the Worlds. So I can't be around quite as much. But it also means that, for us in the piping school, we took on a lot of responsibility for events, and generally it's day management, so getting people from rooms to stage and things like that, being points of contact. So you tend to have long days and short days. Mm-hmm. So like yesterday for me was like a 12-hour day. But today will be quite a strict 8-hour day. But there's the added factor as well of one way or another, we're all performing. So for the likes of myself, Margaret Houlihan, Andrew Bova, we're playing Friday, Saturday. And it's the most stressful weekend of the year, pipe band Christmas. But you've got to be ready for that. So, for example, I have not touched a drop of alcohol since Sunday afternoon.
That's difficult during piping live, mate.
Yeah, well, I keep bringing the car in with me. That's
there you go.
The best excuse. But it'd be very, very easy to just go. Even last night, the thing is because you feel like you had to be part of the thing.
Yeah.
But you're doing kind of the job. So even today, I run the Pipe Idol event, which is it's become one of our premier events.
Absolutely.
I'd say that it's for the young folk competing in it. They take it very seriously, and sometimes I'd say maybe relax a little. What do you call it? But today, Wednesday, I'll be away during it, so it's been run by one of our kind of senior volunteers. I just hope I've
left in a good enough state that I can keep the wheel turning. Exactly.
And the guys playing it, they know what they're doing. They're kind of picked that way.
That's it. So I have to ask you then about shots. What a season. You guys have had up and down and up and down. It's been so varied this year for all bands in Grade 1.
It's probably in my lifetime of being associated with pipe bands, I would say this is one of the most broad spectrum competitive seasons. There's another factor though that I think's got to be thought of, which is that there's only 10 bands domestically in Grade 1.
There you go.
Right? So if you're fifth, you're actually mediocre. You're middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Well, on paper, I don't mean that seriously, right? That's not fair.
No, but I get what you're saying though. Yeah, you're middle of the pack out of a possible 10.
You're in the prize list, but there's only 10 bands. So I think that works both ways. When you go like, if you're kind of 4th, 5th, 6th, you're going, well, we're kind of in the middle of the group. But if you, by the same token, if you're 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, or 8th, 9th, 10th, sorry, the bottom three, that can seem really extreme, but that you're still part of, maybe the top 16 bands on the planet.
Absolutely.
Which I think it can be very grim that way, and what I would say about it is this, I've been thinking about this a lot. When I first came into Grade 1 nearly 20 years ago, people used to talk about Grade 1A and Grade 1B. So I was in the Vale of Atholl at the time, and piping wise, we were contesting for top 3 spaces. In the first year, 2 years that I was there, it dropped off after that. But the thing that kind of sticks in my brain there is that band thought of itself as a B band that was like sticking its head above the parapet. It was, asking for graces above its level. Which is not really the attitude to have. And I don't think the bands, I don't know if it's because the grade's smaller, but I feel like bands are much more willing to go, no, we're good performers and we can play really well and nobody's ignorant. I mean, there is a propaganda machine out there. Everybody's got one. And whenever people try to tell me they don't, I laugh in my face. Because they usually tell me they don't after telling me how good their band is. But this leads us to another fact. And I think this is amazing. Sunday morning pipe majors are a real thing. Drone chorus, yourselves, the Big Rab Show, bagpipe staff, Jim Ramsey, the whole 9 yards. Within 48 hours of a Grade 1 contest, you will have recordings of that band that you can sit in your gaff and judge yourself.
Armchair judge. Yeah.
And that means nothing, right? Obviously, the 4 adjudicators on the day, they control the whole game, and that's fine, whatever. But I wonder about the court of public opinion. I think that's a really interesting thing.
It's a valid question.
I wonder how much that creates. Everybody's allowed to have their favourite bands. I like to think, having went from being probably quite extreme in my views, very cut and dry, to being a bit more easygoing.
There you go. That's no bad thing though, Dan. Yeah.
No, I think it's a sign of maturity.
There you go.
But I try to find something I like, and I do this as an assessor. I do this as an adjudicator. I try to do it as a coach, where you go, right, let's talk about the good things first, because the bad things tend to be quite obvious. So that was in terms of our season, I think that's a kind of defining factor is, it's on the up and up. We started the season risking our lives, quite literally risking our lives. I've never been so scared in a performance. And I suffer from some serious anxiety. And I'd say that I was doing the calculations going, I'm 5'9". and the pipes are made of like a mixture of dark hardwoods and it's like nickel silver. That guy's got a set of silver nails. That guy's 6'3". Who's more likely to get struck by lightning here? Well, battering away.
Yeah. It meant for some really dramatic photographs, though.
It sure did.
Yeah.
What'd you call it? And you know what was daft? See, about 10 minutes after we came off the park, beautiful blue skies.
I know, that was the weirdest thing. It was like someone turned the tap off.
It was unbelievable. And what can you do? It just goes to show you, man plans, God laughs.
There you go. Yeah.
But it also says another thing. It's something my father used to say to me when I was a boy. He'd say, you will be tested and you've got to stand the line. And, win, lose a draw come Saturday night, I feel very proud to be in a band of folk that I feel like I can go, they will stand the line under pressure. They will do the best they possibly can in that moment. And we were tested. And we came away with a win over the reigning world champions.
There you are. Yeah. Oh, it was definitely a line in the sand moment, and had everybody talking. Yeah. So I don't know. It's been such a varied season this year. It's been so exciting to watch, even as a spectator. I'm sure as a competitor, it's pretty stressful been in there, but as a fan,
it's a lot less stressful now, actually. Which I genuinely think that opening performance of the year put a lot of folk into perspective.
Yeah.
To be like, we're here to play music that people enjoy. We're trying to play the best of our ability. You cannot control what adjudicators think of you. You won't get to hear the contest. If you do get to hear the contest, well, you weren't playing anyway. So
there you go.
But I think for everybody, everyone's had their ups and their downs. We're so close. And here, this is a thought that's been battered through my mind. Homogeny. Chesney Reed's some version of a Shepherd chanter.
Yeah.
Top bands of the planet are all playing it. Okay, we're playing the Broadley chanters, right?
Yes.
But let's be honest, we all know what they are, right? And see, even if you go back to those Mark 1 and 2 chanters, they're lifted off of Kintail chanters for the late 70s that the Dysart played.
Oh, right. I didn't know
which
that.
Which are lifted off of Sinclair chanters that the Shaws played in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
So it's the old ones are the best ones.
There you go.
I would definitely say to the plastic fanatics out there to do their research. I'm hearing a lot of mad stuff about variances in 1980s plastic, where I go, I don't think that's quite true. One man talked to me about trying to get chanters that weigh less than 50 grams.
Right.
All the chanters that weigh less than 50 grams, they're the good chanters. And I went,
really?
I don't know. And then I weighed my own chanter. I think most professional pipers do. I've got a drawer full of plastic chanters. Yeah. And I don't think one of them was even close, either up or down.
Wow.
And there's chanters that I've won solo piping prizes on, chanters that I've played in pipe bands that have won prize, all that sort of stuff.
I've never heard of that weighing it.
Don't worry about it.
I'll not try that. No. There you go.
What do you call it?
So, Dan, I have to ask you some personal questions then. Are you a Star Wars fan by any means? I know you're a fan of
no, not really.
Science fiction and Marvel and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, you know what's funny is my science fiction. I think Star Wars was a great gateway drug, but I tend to find myself knee deep in very heavy duty lower sci-fi, like Dune, for example.
Really? I was going to ask you about the Dune movies. Yeah.
What do you call it? Yeah, I loved those things for a long time. Even that kind of terrible Kyle MacLachlan 1980s.
Oh,
but during the pandemic, I sat down. My wife and I, we were throwing back, I really like this movie, you've never seen it yet. And we kind of exchanged art that way. I just couldn't sit through it. I just couldn't. And I was like, but what she said to me, and actually this was really interesting, she goes, over the course of about 3 weeks, we'd done a bunch of these kind of movie nights, and she goes, every film that you sit down with me to watch, you have to explain what's going on, and that means it's a bad film. And I went, aye, you've got me there. That's fair. But yeah, it's kind of heavy. Why do you ask about Star Wars?
No, I'm just curious, because I know there's a lot of piping fans out there that are also fans of sci-fi, what I'm noticing. I'm a fan of NFL. I love watching American football, and that's sort of my interest outside of piping. But what I'm finding is a lot of folk outside of piping are really into comic books and sci-fi and stuff like that. So comics not a thing for you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, James, you won't believe this, Rab. I actually wrote a comic series.
Really?
I did, yeah. When I was at university, I played in a rock band. That was a 9-piece I'm going to call it pop metal band. And it was we all wore costumes. It was daft. It was reasonably well known within Glasgow. But as a kind of promotions tool, I wrote a kind of 6-issue series of comics that, to be honest, we distributed, like you could buy them for £1 at a gig, and we had them in a cut, like Forbidden Planet had them on their kind of local bit, and the place Geek Retreat that's on Union Street, they stocked them, but we're talking like, and we tried to get kind of local artists, and to be honest with you, they were very sort of basic and simple, and but they were a good laugh. But the comics thing was a big deal for me. I think about this a lot. And I wonder, actually, would we put this out to Big Rab Show listeners, right? They say never meet your heroes.
Yeah.
I got to meet my heroes growing up. My father knew them all, right?
Yeah.
So, like Ian McClellan, I wouldn't say I'd know the man close or anything like that, but I've got to interact with him over the years, and there's that kind of level of celebrity. There's a certain escapism, I think, in the world of piping and pipe bands.
Yeah.
And I wonder if we've all just got a little bit of that thing of like, we all like the fantastic, And I talk about this with students a lot, and it was Willie McCallum really put this in my head this year. Good and great are separated by the thinnest of measurements. One man's trash and another man's treasure, right? So what makes the difference? Well, it's perspective, it's presentation. So like, a good presentation of art versus a bad presentation of art. A great example of this is the Zack Snyder Justice League movie, right?
Perfect.
A really good presentation of that particular story, except that particular story is a mixture of a couple of different Justice League stories centred around a book by a Scottish writer called Grant Morrison called Kingdom Come. Right. Feel free to correct me in the comments. It might be slightly different than that, but the storyline's the same thing. But the actual comic, I'm sure it's Kingdom Come, is it'll leave you in tears. Honestly, it's an incredible story, the way it's told, the artwork, everything. But it's a very different presentation of ideas. And I think about we, the zeitgeist, we, the culture, we love lore. We love to know what was happening way back when. But we live in this very physical present of you were 5th at this contest, but you won that one, and with statistics, analysis, data.
Yeah.
And I think what's really kind of cool in there as well is we've got this weird dichotomy of you live inside of 4 months, but you think about 100 years. I think that's really, really cool. And I'd actually wonder about listeners, viewers, if they'd go, oh yeah, actually I do that. But see, as soon as Sunday comes, Sunday afternoon, you'll go to the park bar and it'll be the best of the best, the pipe band scene, laughing and joking with each other, and the season is over. 9 p.m. Saturday night, game's a bogey. And if you want to be greeting-faced about it, you can be greeting-faced about it. What I would say to anybody who is upset with any result they get is you get half an hour to be sour. Half an hour of sour.
There you go, perfect.
And then let it go. I've made that mistake myself. You carry these things around.
That's it, absolutely. But no, that's really, I don't know, that's made me think now too. You're quite right. We do live within that 4-month bracket.
But you think about the greater, you think about, what you call it? And there's a really interesting thing in there, and this is just maybe getting older, is I'm slowly but surely chiseling away at a book about pipe bands. And I've been thinking a lot about why we do things the way we do them. Because everybody's got great ideas.
Yeah.
Do you know what I find is? We've got piles of ideas, right? It's like, you talk about the European food mountain and the lake of wine and all that.
Yeah.
The excess food the EEC has.
Yeah.
Right, we've got that in ideas. But you know what we don't have? Shovels. Very few folks seem to be able to go, I'm going to go and do that. I'm going to go and enforce that. And we've all got to make our choices that way. That's fine. But what's interesting, and I'd actually refer to an interview with Alistair Aitken on Piper's Persuasion here. Alistair points out that over his 40-odd years of being part of the management of the adjudicators panel and as an adjudicator, that he would see somebody go, we're going to do X, and then X fails because there's some sort of hole in it, some problem.
Right.
And then 10 years later, someone goes, what if we did X? I've just thought of this. And like, we've got this strange thing of like, we love to go, see that Fraser's 1997 medley. Aye, but do you remember them getting disqualified in 1994 and how the rules changed after that?
Yeah. There you go.
Or the rules were defined after that. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, I'm saying that's what happened.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of interesting wee bits of history there where I think sometimes we need to go, let's sit down and figure out why that didn't work and why we should make it work this time, if it's worth making it work.
There you go. That's something we found this season, Dan. Just in wrapping up, I guess. A lot of bands now are looking back to the older music, like 70s, 80s now, especially with that 70s tribute band. Like, a lot of people looking towards that music now as a result.
Do you not think it was dead interesting? Like, I'll be honest with you, I'd never really thought about it much. I just kind of went, that was a thing that happened. Yeah. My grandfather was, I don't know, kind of an early archivist in a certain way. He God knows where he got it from, because the family was skint, but he had a reel-to-reel recorder.
Right.
So he would stand at pipe band contests and point a microphone at pipe bands.
There you go.
So somewhere in my father's house, there's a box or a bag with all these microfilms, reel reels.
Yeah.
And one of them is the 1970 World Pipe Band Championships.
Wow.
I don't think it's very good quality, but I remember my father digging it out and being like, there it is. Yes, boy, there's the thing. But you know what I thought was interesting in terms of musicology? We looked at this in the HNC composition class for a session, was the parallels, right? Pipe band medley. Mm-hmm. March tune, you got to move to get into that circle.
Yep.
Some sort of dance music. So space, reels, jigs. Mm-hmm. Slow air, dance music to finish.
There you go.
Since 2004, since the prelude and B minor SFU medley, we've had this reprising ideas. Now, I am a big fan when it's done well, and I am a massive critic when it's done poorly. I think a lot of bands are doing it in a way now where you go,
it feels forced almost.
You're expected to do it.
Yeah,
but isn't the magic? And this comes back to what I was talking about before. We love magic. All of us want the magic.
There you go.
It's in being surprised pleasantly and going, oh, here's that thing.
There's that theme again.
So Inveraray made that big splash last year by having a rest, right? Yeah,
the chanter choke, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But why it works so well is, first of all, it's got a great impact, right? It's a simple tune that you expect to just kind of toddle on, and then there's this thing that gives you a suggestion of a percussive impact.
Yes.
And you don't see it coming. And it set the fox amongst the henhouse last year. It really did.
Big time.
Jaws wagging like you wouldn't believe. I've never heard so many people come out against silence. But I was always like, there's nothing in the rules that says you can't do it. No one took their hand off the chanter. No one stopped the drones. Mm-hmm. It's a facility that this instrument can provide. And if you can pull it off, and let's be honest, that's the difficult bit, isn't actually pulling it off.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if Stuart Liddell were here, he would begrudgingly say, sometimes we've nailed it, sometimes we've not nailed it. But that's the magic.
There you go. That's it. Yeah, so who knows where the music's going to go now, but I have seen a lot of bands now looking back, which is only a good thing.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Yeah.
Do you know what's funny, right? See, we're kind of sort of the same age. Mm-hmm. And the pipe bands that inspired me, that I still kind of go back to a lot, were the mid-90s Vale of Atholl, Victoria Police, Shots. I'd say those three bands, for me, were hugely influential. I actually find myself gravitating quite a lot now to Robert Matheson's work.
Oh yeah, the Big Burl and all of those recordings.
See, for my money, I think my favourite, I've got probably a top 5, but see in terms of construction, that first 50, year 2000 medley, right, what they win the World's Way in 2000. Mm-hmm. I was talking to Margaret Hillen about this, who played in that band, and she mentioned that there were changes all the way up to the Worlds. If you had recordings of that medley through the rest of that season, it's slightly different. But when they hit Showboat, dum da da bandira, it honestly, it's for me, it was like, oh, this is so different. It's like, okay, first 50, cool tune. It's got a couple of wee curves in it, we're going to add a beat here to give an impact. You've got to think we're doing something else. But it's an A major hornpipe-esque tune, right? A, C, E, high E. Those are the theme notes. Very clear cut. And then you get this, dum da da. Wait a minute, are they going into Donald Cameron's powder horn? Is it Donald Willie and his dog? No, they're going to
You
go
don't know
through
where
all
it's
this.
going to go. Yeah.
And then they go and play something in a totally different key. And I think that construction, I think the folk that put that medley together, whether it was Robert Matheson solely or a group within the band, can nearly 25 years later absolutely pat themselves in the back and go, that was one of the great pipe band medleys.
Oh, for sure. It still stands up.
And there's loads of bits in it. You know, they play the Wise Maiden in it, and there's just a drop of dot cut in it. It's not quite square, and it's so engaging.
Yeah.
And this is one thing I think, you know, when people say to me, "Oh, why isn't such and such a band placed higher?" You know, all the right notes in the right order, good start, good stop, hit the brakes, decent sound. Played reasonably well together as a band, and I'll go, it's very dry. It's quite basic. You're not actually going. You've done the requirement.
Yeah,
you've not exceeded the requirement.
There you go.
And you think about competition music, competition art, and what I think a lot of players, individuals, fail at before they ever go near a band practice. They don't practice the big five. That are the requirements: start, stop, breaks, stay in tune, make no mistakes. You need to do that in the house. That's not the band practice. You do that in the house, and then you can go to the band practice and go, all my fundamentals are concrete. Okay, we all make a mistake at a band practice. God, you've been at your work all day.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
What'd you call it? I mean, I can be the worst for it. Not the worst for making loads of mistakes, but if I make a mistake, I immediately have my hand up and be like, sorry, I was thinking about something else. Right? But I'll not do that the second Saturday in August, touch wood. But yeah, my point there is like, the bands that excel, their fundamentals are concrete, so they can think about, how does this feel? Why are we doing this way? Rather than the panic of, did everybody get away? Was it a clean run?
Yes, that's it. You're not worried about those things.
Top pipe cores on the planet aren't worried about that.
There you go.
If Jack Lee comes off the park and walks over to Alan Bevan on Saturday afternoon and goes, we had a clean run, Alan. I think Alan will be like, I expect you to have a clean run. You're Jack Lee. You should be having a clean run. But like that's the point in there is like, I think a lot of folk expect magic, but this is the thing. Magic's for the audience. It's not for the magician.
No.
You need to have the tricks. If you've got to saw a lady in half, you better know what you're doing. Right? It's a long time in prison.
So, Dan, I have to say thanks for chatting with us on the show. It's great to be back at Pipe and Live again.
Yeah, hope you enjoy it. There's plenty of stuff going on. We're all the way through, this is Wednesday, so there's a Bog Hall concert night. The Alistair Gillis is tomorrow night. I think there's a handful of tickets there. I know this is going out after, but I'd say, for the future, if you're looking to come over, please keep an eye on the upcoming events. There's a lot more going on at the Piping Centre than just Piping Live.
Oh, that's it, yeah. So we'll be covering everything in front of the Piping Centre, I guess, as much as we can. And if anything, I'm going to press you now you're on camera. Are we going to see a return of the show on YouTube?
The Piping Show.
The Piping Show.
Well, there's been a bit of a sea change in how the media works here. I would expect to see something like that.
Nice.
I don't know what it's going to be. I think these are all great things to be discussed after the festival's done.
There you go. Get Pipe and Live done.
We kind of do essentially from the start of July. Once the schools go out, Pipe and Live's the thing. We've got, I think it's something between 30 and 60,000 people come to Glasgow, and at some point we'll make their way through the hallowed halls here at McPhair Street. And it's our job to put on great shows, be kind to them, generally direct them, ask them to be quiet off the back of Pipe Idol. I just put a kind of last thing in here about Pipe Idol. This year we had 46 applicants from 3 different continents.
Wow.
If you are a listener, if you're aged between 14 and 21 and you think you've got the chops to do it, please apply. As many people applying as possible will give us the best possible outcome. Just remember, you have to come to Glasgow during Piping Live to actually compete. And a few folk who are like, who I think thought it was an online contest.
Oh, I see.
But you will be, it's an opportunity to put your tunes in front of people.
There you go. In front of a massive piping audience, for sure.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, folks, there you go. A massive thank you to Dan Nevans for joining us on the podcast this week. Yeah, such a stellar interview, honestly. And, we do have some real good gems over there on Patreon that are, exclusives over there. So that interview was one of them, and we've been hanging on to that one for quite a number of months. But yeah, we do believe the content there is definitely valuable, especially now, currently at this point in the season, I guess, when bands are very rapidly preparing for this incoming year. And tune selections and medley constructions are definitely, they're top of every conversation in many band halls around the world right now. So, yeah, you know, getting the big five right at home and not in the band hall. And, yeah, magic is for the audience and not the magician. A lot of good wisdom there, to be honest. So, yeah, fantastic, great interview with Dan Nevans, and a huge shout out to him. Thank you for joining us on the show and for taking time to, record a wee chat with me at Piping Live. Again, I have to say, to our Patreon faithful, apologies. You folks have already had access to that, and the video of which, for a long time now, since August of last year, I guess. But that will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, good and proper, for everyone to enjoy later on this week. Yeah. So, brilliant interview, definitely well-timed, I thought. So, a lot of great wisdom there, and I hope some food for thought for some people out there, indeed. All right, folks, well, that's pretty much it for another Big Rab Show podcast. Yeah, it's been a busy one this week with a lot of ground to cover. But, hey, that's it here in the Rab Show, you know. We do our best to cover the piping world in every aspect of it as best we can. And there's bound to be something that's always hit the cutting room floor. So, as always, please do email in your opinions, bigrabshow@gmail.com, or, of course, you can send in your own weekly drone. There's a big button at the top of the page, send big weekly drone on our website, and, you can let us know your thoughts and feelings, warts and all, and, we'll bring it to a future show. All right, folks, that's it. I'm out the door. Thank you all for downloading this week, and we'll see you all in the next one. Until then, all the best. Well, that's it for another Big Rab Show podcast. Thanks so much for downloading this week, and a special thank you to our sponsor, G1 Reeds. Played by bands around the world, they are the champion's choice. Check out g1reeds.com for all of your piping needs. Don't forget to check out thebigrabshow.com to be kept up to date with all of the latest news and views from around the piping world. And also, check us out on Patreon. For $5 a month, you can get your hands on tons of extra piping goodness and be a part of the Patreon faithful. So, until next week, folks, we'll see you right here on the Big Rab Show podcast. All the best.